Welcome to our Regulation Mastery session. In this session, we will start reading the CSSF Circular 22-806 from Part 1 Outsourcing Arrangements, Chapter 2. Scope of Application and Proportionality. Chapter 2. Scope of Application and Proportionality. 2. This circular defines the supervisory expectations that must be complied with when resorting to outsourcing arrangements. This circular applies in full to the following in-scope entities: credit institutions, including their branches, within the meaning of the LFS. Branches in Luxembourg of credit institutions incorporated in a third country shall be deemed to be included in the notion of credit institution. Investment firms, including their branches, within the meaning of the LFS. Branches in Luxembourg of investment firms incorporated in a third country shall be deemed to be included in the notion of investment firm. Payment institutions and electronic money institutions, including their branches, each referred to as a payment institution, within the meaning of the LPS. Branches in Luxembourg of payment institutions incorporated in a third country shall be deemed to be included in the notion of payment institution. Account Information Service Providers, AISP, that only provide the service in Point 8 of Annex of the LPS, are not included in the scope of application of this circular. Any reference made in this circular to payment services includes payment services or issuance of electronic money provided by electronic money institutions. Other professionals of the financial sector, PFS, including their branches, within the meaning of the LFS. Branches in Luxembourg of PFS incorporated under foreign law shall be deemed to be included in the notion of PFS. Post Luxembourg governed by the law of the 15th of December 2000 on postal financial services. All provisions that apply to payment institutions shall also apply to Post Luxembourg. This circular applies also in full to the following entities established in Luxembourg when performing ICT outsourcing. Investment fund managers incorporated under Luxembourg law within the meaning of Circular CSSF 18-698, IFMs. For the sake of clarity, the relevant provisions related to outsourcing of Circular CSSF 18-698 do not apply to IFMs in case of ICT outsourcing arrangements. Undertakings for collective investment in transferable securities subject to Part 1 UCITS of the UCITS law which designate a management company within the meaning of the UCITS law. Central counterparties, CCPs, within the meaning of Article 2(1) of EMIR, including Tier 2 third country CCPs within the meaning of Article 25(2)(a) of EMIR, complying with the relevant requirements of EMIR in accordance with Point A of Article 25(2)(b) of EMIR. Approved publication arrangements, APAs, with a derogation, and authorized reporting mechanisms, ARMs, with a derogation within the meaning of the LFS. Market operators operating a trading venue within the meaning of the LFS. Central Securities Depositories, CSDs, within the meaning of Point 1 of Article 2(1) of the CSDR, and administrators of critical benchmarks within the meaning of Point 25 of Article 3(1) of the Benchmark Regulation. This circular must be complied with by in-scope entities when designing the internal governance arrangements in the context of their business model taken as a whole, giving in particular due consideration to those activities that are regulated by the LFS, the LPS, or any other national law conferring a competence to the CSSF. Consequently, this circular also applies when in-scope entities provide investment services and perform investment activities in accordance with the MiFID law, develop internal governance arrangements in the context of the AML/CFT law, or provide asset management services and depositary tasks for undertakings for collective investments established in Luxembourg. Branches in Luxembourg of the aforementioned types of entities that are part of a legal entity, whose head office is located in a different member state of the EEA branches, are subject to the supervision of the competent authority of that member state, home member state. However, as the CSSF is competent for ensuring that EEA branches comply with the specific requirements laid down in the thematic or sectoral frameworks, this circular applies if EEA branches outsource functions that belong to areas for which the CSSF retains an oversight responsibility. While this circular does not impose specific requirements with regards to internal governance arrangements of EEA branches, such branches are nevertheless expected to adopt internal governance arrangements, which are comparable to those provided for in this circular, in coordination with their head office. 3. The provisions of this circular shall apply to all in-scope entities on an individual basis. Credit institutions and investment firms shall also comply with this circular on a subconsolidated and consolidated basis, taking into account their prudential scope of consolidation. Credit institutions and investment firms that are a parent undertaking shall ensure that the internal governance arrangements, processes and mechanisms in their subsidiaries are consistent, well integrated and appropriate for the effective application of this circular at all relevant levels of supervision. 4. In-scope entities shall, when complying with this circular, have regard to the principle of proportionality. According to this principle, in-scope entities shall take implementing measures that are proportionate to their size and their internal organization, as well as to the nature, scale and complexity of their activities or services, including their risks. As such, in-scope entities that are large, complex or engage in risky activities or services shall adopt a more robust framework for their central administration, internal governance and risk management. By contrast, in-scope entities may apply a less elaborated framework where justified by their size and internal organization, as well as by the nature, scale and complexity of their activities or services, including their risks. 5. That said, outsourcing arrangements may have an impact on the risk profile of the in-scope entities, notably the operational risk they may be exposed to, e.g. disruption risk. Consequently, in-scope entities may need to enhance their internal control framework and procedures to integrate this modified risk dimension into their entity-wide risk management framework. 6. To support the appropriate implementation of this circular, in-scope entities shall document their proportionality analysis in writing and have their conclusions approved by the management body.